Namaskar and welcome to From the Real to the Virtual at WoWExp, India's first Metaverse. We are delighted and privileged to have with us today the unstoppable Shaili Chopra, author, blogger, entrepreneur, business journalist, and the founder of a platform that empowers women and helps them raise their voices. She, the people. Really very happy to have you here with us.
Thank you.
You're also the winner of the very prestigious Ramnath Goenka Business Awards. And if I take you back to your journey, Shaili, tell me what made you start She the People, the story behind it, all of that. Because you had such a stellar career. You gave it up to start this. So there must have been a reason for this. We want you to share that with our viewers.
You know, I like the way you say I gave it up. I guess in hindsight, it was a great pivot, deciding to get off a mainstream television career and to think that I was going in the world of digital, and look at me being the person who you've chosen as the first one to be on a Metaverse show. So now you know that the decisions I took when it came to changing gears to digital were timely. I decided this in a very unique way because decisions, when they are taken over a very long period of time, sometimes lose the meaning because you lose out on the timing of it. So it literally was a spur of a moment decision. I went down to Bangalore to interview Warren Buffett, who, as you know, is often the richest or second richest man in the world, depending on those rankings. And it was such a big interview, a big moment, and everybody was like, oh my God, how many people really in India get an opportunity to interview him? And here I was. And I had a great interview, a great conversation. He got off the interview and said it was his best because he was talking about family, friends, and what's in his wallet and all of that. So it was a really warm, interesting conversation. But I walked out of that interview thinking, perhaps this is the last interview I should do. And the reason for that was that I must have interviewed about 273, I've done interviews of about 273 odd personalities around the world. Right, whether you look at Christine Lagarde, or Amitabh Bachchan, or Peter Gabriel, you name them. And then I asked myself, where are the women really, right? Of this total, there must have only been about 15 women. And I kept asking myself, we need more women. We also have to go find more women. Where are these women, right? I also did not want to fall in the trap of interviewing the same women who make it to the front pages of the Forbes decade after decade, year after year, right? I wanted to break away from that. And so I just literally came back to office and I put in my resignation at the spur of a moment. And it is always 3 words, right? I am off. And I said that I am off. And I just went straight into building what I had thought of, which is She the People, to tell stories of women and find women to tell their stories. Because the problem was not that we weren't telling enough. We just didn't know where these women were, right? We were not searching for them. And I wanted literally be the search bar of all women who are succeeding and struggling and telling amazing journeys of what they do.
Absolutely. Like what you said, we have a place in India, Shaili, where we revere goddesses, perhaps much more than gods. Devi, Durga, all of that. And yet, the irony is कि हमारे यहाँ महिलाओं को एक बराबरी की जंग और जद्दोजहद करनी पड़ती है, और इस जंग और जद्दोजहद में वो कई बार पिछड़ जाती है क्योंकि उसे आजादी नहीं होती बोलने की, उसे आजादी नहीं होती अपनी बात रखने की, उसे आजादी नहीं होती फ्रीडम की, और इस देश में कन्यादान जैसी प्रथाएं होती हैं। तो यहाँ पे आप क्या ऐसी महिलाओं को मिल चुकी हैं, आपने उनके बारे में रिसर्च करी है और आपने उनकी कहानियां आम जनता तक लाई है ताकि उनकी आवाज सब तक पहुंच सके? इसके बारे में आपका क्या कहना है?
बिल्कुल, हमारे देश में जैसे आपने कहा कि हम दुर्गा, लक्ष्मी, सरस्वती सुबह से लेकर शाम तक पूरे साल हम उनकी पूजा करते हैं, लेकिन हम अपने घर की औरतों, लड़कियों, बहनों, इनसे तरीके से बातचीत भी नहीं कर पाते। इनकी चॉइस को बिल्कुल अहमियत नहीं देते हैं हम, क्योंकि हमें लगता है कि ये बनी ही क्यों है बच्चे पैदा करने के लिए, घर के काम करने के लिए, सुंदर दिखने के लिए। और सुंदर ये नहीं किस तरह वो सुंदर दिखना चाहती है, पर दुनिया की नजर में क्या सुंदरता है, हम उसी बॉक्स में औरतों को, लड़कियों को फिट करते हैं. And ये बात, as somebody said this in one of our interviews at She the People, patriarchy begins at home. You know, हमारे घर से पैदा होता है ये ऐसी सोच, क्योंकि हम घर में ही अपनी लड़कियों को ऐसे रेज करते हैं कि उन्हें लगे नहीं कि वो कुछ कर सकती, कि वो ड्रीम अगर कर सकती है तो उसकी भी कुछ बाउंड्रीज है, कुछ लिमिटलेस नहीं है. तो जब मैंने शी द पीपल शुरू किया, मेरे लिए एक बहुत ही इम्पोर्टेंट गोल था कि ऐसी औरतें और लड़कियों की आवाज और बातचीत दुनिया तक पहुंचनी चाहिए, जो आमतौर पे हम सोचते भी नहीं है कि ये अचीवर्स हैं. जैसे एक औरत जो नुक्कड़ पे इडली डोसा बेच रही है, वो अपने घर में पैसे कमा के लेके जाती है. उसके घर में जो रिस्पेक्ट उसे मिलती है क्योंकि वो पैसे लेके जाती है, कई बार वो रिस्पेक्ट ऐसी औरतों को नहीं मिल पाती है क्योंकि वो फाइनेंशियल फ्रीडम नहीं होता उनके पास, या फिर वो घर के कामों में फाइनेंशियल कंट्रीब्यूशन. कहने की बात ये नहीं है कि जो एक्चुअल में कमाती हो क्या सिर्फ वो ही उनको रिस्पेक्ट दिलाती है, कई बार वो भी नहीं, क्योंकि आदमी उनसे पैसे ले लेता है या फिर उनको फिर भी पीटता है. बट देयर इज अ स्टार्टिंग पॉइंट, राइट? सिमिलरली मैंने ऐसी बहुत लड़कियों और औरतों से बात की जिन्होंने अपने छोटे छोटे बिजनेसेस शुरू करे, कभी क्योंकि उनके घर में हालात ऐसे थे, चाहे वो छोले भटूरे वाली औरत जिसने कोविड के दौरान उनके हस्बैंड की जब नौकरी चली गई तो उसने एक स्टॉल स्टार्ट करी और अपने घर के अंदर अपने बच्चों की पढ़ाई जारी रखी, या फिर कुछ ऐसी औरतें जो इंटरनेट को यूज कर करके अपने आप को अपने घर की चार दीवारों से बाहर पाती हैं और देन दे अनलीश देमसेल्व्स. अरे वाह, ये भी दुनिया है, राइट? एंड फिर लोग उन्हें कहते हैं, अरे दीदी आप तो इंटरनेट वाली दीदी हो, आप मुझे बताओ कुछ नया, क्योंकि मेरे लिए तो यही चार दीवारें, राइट? सो आई थिंक इट वाज रियली एम्पावरिंग. ओके, अनदर थिंग दैट आई रियलाइज्ड इज कि मैं और आप कभी-कभी अपने घरों में बैठे भूल जाते हैं कि दूसरी दुनिया क्या है, राइट? बट आई फील कि एक्चुअली दूसरी दुनिया कुछ है ही नहीं, बिकॉज ऑल women, whether they come from rich households or whether they are in poor households or are finding other ways of difficulty, हम सबकी बैटल एक ही है, to be able to exercise our choice. And money doesn't always, being born in money doesn't change that. So there's a thing that I keep talking about. Women should have their own money, not just money. No money of papa, mama, uncle, auntie, brothers, husbands. जो पैसा वो खुद कमाती है ना, उससे उनकी जो एजेंसी बनती है वो और किसी तरीके से नहीं बनती है. So I think for me the entire journey has been to talk to the everyday woman, because I am that. I am a person who literally grew up in Gwalior, Bangalore, Chabua in Assam, all of these places, and came from a basic middle class household. When my parents said there's only finite amount of money, पढ़ाई कर लो, नौकरियां ढूंढ लो, फिर अपने आप, right? And I thought that it was so important to recognize women like myself who were growing and fighting these battles.
Totally agree with you. जो आपने कहा पुरुष प्रधान समाज में बहुत बदलाव लाने की जरूरत है आर्थिक उन्नति के लिए. A woman has to work twice as hard as a man, and she's always dependent on either her father, brother, uncle, anyone at all times. So that financial freedom needs to be taught in schools also, in colleges also. It's very important. Coming to your book now, we come to Sisterhood Economy a little later. You started writing very early in life when I was 25. If you could take us through that, and then through Feminist Rani. I love the name because it's a combination of English and Hindi. You brought Bharat into feminism. But is it only about Bharat, or is it, the old age feminism versus the new age feminism?
Great. So, one of the things I want to tell on your show is that while I did write my first book, among the first books, a book called When I Was 25, it has nothing to do with me and my 20s. I think a lot of people felt that it was about my journey in my 20s, which it wasn't, because I must have written it at about 27. It was too early to write a book about myself back then. But I did write this book because, we all want to know what are the struggles of other people when they were young. Because as you know, हमारे देश में काफी young population है, and we are all on this mission to hustle, achieve something, demographic dividend and all that. So where will the youth go? They keep thinking, how did these people become themselves? Like, how did Mr. Godrej become Mr. Godrej? How did Indra Nooyi become Indra Nooyi? So I think one of the things really has been to see how to reflect back on the stories of many such leaders, designers, artists, activists, and see what were they doing in their 20s that got them where they went eventually, right? Because हम सच में यही सोचते हैं कि जो लोग न्यूज़पेपर में दिखते हैं उनकी जर्नी इतनी मुश्किल नहीं हुई होगी, उनको इतने dilemmas नहीं हुए होंगे. You know, it might have been a red carpet, and I wanted to break that myth that everybody who was on this show should reflect back. When I was 25, this is what I did. Like Mr. Godrej was a bellboy at a hotel in New York, right? Or you know, the current politician P. Chidambaram was actually sort of on the factory floors doing activism. Or an artist like Sandeep Khosla, who's part of the Sandeep Khosla Abujani brand, was struggling to find his gender identity and also come into Bombay and set up a business. Right? So how, or Dimple Kapadia, who was fighting, you know, an early marriage and breakup, and also having 2 children at the age of 19. So I think it was really fascinating to go through these stories. And it still sells really well. So I must add that the book has really connected with young India in a very, very deep way. आपने feminist Rani की बात की. Now the name, I'm a big person when it comes to names. I'm very enthusiastic about how to name things, whether it's at She the People or Feminist Rani or any of the shows we do or the books I write. I am very involved in that. So I remember I was having coffee with a friend at a cafe in Bombay and kept thinking, kya naam dein, what name should we do? You know, and this wasn't even the book. I was actually creating an IP for She the People's show. Feminist Rani was an all-India event which used to go city to city talking about feminism and breaking the myth that feminism is about wearing black and not wearing pink.
Or being aggressive towards men.
Or just being anti-men, right? So I think the idea was to really break this notion that feminism doesn't come in a certain package, because your and my feminism may actually have crossroads, and it's important to be accommodative even to women in feminism, right? So that was the aim, and Feminist Rani therefore came about as an idea that went around for about 3 years as an event, and then we wrapped it into a book which Penguin published, and it still is very interesting because, again, like some of my other books, it's not a book where I am doing the talking, it's where subjects are doing the talking, and it calls itself a contemporary and fun take on feminism. Because, you know, we always think of feminism as across generations, right? We take people back, you movement में क्या था, फिर उसके बाद movement में कैसे, how did they pass the baton and so on and so forth. It becomes very historic. And I wanted people to feel like people like you and me, we hear about these people in our circles, what are they saying? Right? Whether it's a comedian Aditi Mittal, whether it's, you know, somebody who's someone like Gulpanag or Gurmehar Kaur, you know, these are normal people who are talking about feminism, right? And they are normalizing the idea that feminism doesn't need to be done in a conference room. It needs to be a conversation over chai, and we should be able to easily break down this for others rather than complicating it. So I think the genesis of She the People and everything else that I did from there on was to uncomplicate, demystify what women always read about in, you know, books, and say this is reachable, you can touch it.
Absolutely. And if we talk of shepreneurs, your basic need to empower these women, I'd like to also share with you the fact that a lot of them are looking for funding. A lot of these women don't have funds. Sitting in Siliguri, sitting in, you know, Bhopal, Nagpur, all of these places, they don't know what to do.
Yeah.
So if you could share your journey where you were helped out by people and what they should do, what kind of moves they should take, उनको सशक्त बनाने के लिए और उन्हें समृद्धि देने के लिए आपकी क्या राय है?
मुझे लगता है कि हम लोग इंडिया में और इस वक्त सारी दुनिया में काफी एफर्ट्स करने की कोशिश कर रहे हैं जिससे कि लड़कियां और औरतों के बिजनेसेस में निवेश किया जाए. बट देयर इज अ बिग क्वेश्चन देयर. टोकनिज्म है काफी. लोग बहुत मेंटरशिप और एडवाइस देने के लिए तैयार हैं, लेकिन पैसे देने वाले अभी भी आदमियों के बिजनेसेस में निवेश करते हैं. एंड आई ऑलवेज से दैट इफ यू हैव टू रियली सपोर्ट अ वुमन, please support it through investment, not by talk. That is really something that bothers me. But one of my big aims and goals has really been how can I prove both to men and women that men who want to support women exist. We need to pull them out of the woodwork, pull them out from society so that they don't feel that they are being, criticized by their own. And I find that a lot of men who have raised their hand and come to support women are really the ones we need to cheer for. So one of them is the person who's really helped me is Anand Mahindra. He literally has been the first person to whom I went with the idea of Free the People, and he said, don't even think about it. Just start. What do you need to start? And I just gave him some figure, and he said, Shaili, you have my full support. Here's the money. And for me, two things came out of that. One, of course, money. A lot of women are shy to say this. Ki, nahi, money is not important. It's very important for an entrepreneur. कई बार क्या होता है, आप अपने आप से पूछते हो कि मैं अपनी लाइफ की पूरी सेविंग्स लगा दूं या फिर मैं कुछ इन्वेस्टमेंट लूं जिससे कि मेरी सेविंग्स कुछ लगे एंड कुछ कोई बाहर वाले का निवेश हो जिससे कि आपके ओवरऑल प्लान को कॉन्फिडेंस मिलता है, क्योंकि यू आर नॉट द ओनली वन बिल्डिंग इट, राइट? So I felt that was so important for me, that somebody put their money where they felt that this initiative could go places. And then what was also very important to me, that my first investment came from a man. It was very important.
He was raised well.
100% he was raised well. And he has said this on so many occasions, I've heard Anand say this, that his mother raised him really well, to recognize that, gender discrimination is nothing. It shouldn't be a thing. He's a father to two daughters. And, perhaps he sees this around him. But I think that my feeling is that this is something that a lot of other men would rise up to. And therefore, I'm telling this story because I want people to know that, we should always surround ourselves with men and women who will name us in a room full of opportunities. And those kind of people go beyond just
the headline.
Or the tokenism, or perhaps even just the odd mentoring card, right? I think that's very important. And as a woman entrepreneur, and I do say this, that I am a woman entrepreneur, because we haven't reached the point in our country where we start disconnecting the word woman from an entrepreneur, right? There is a lot of debate. I know a lot of women say this, ki I'm an entrepreneur, why are you calling me a woman entrepreneur? I want that we reach that point, but we haven't. And so I want to emphasize again and again that the women entrepreneurs who make it should showcase to other women entrepreneurs, I did it. I could do it, and so can you. So come along. And that's why I think the idea of what a concept of sisterhood is, right? I mean, my book came much later, the title of it came much later. The concept of what sisterhood is, that one woman supporting another, one woman naming another, for some options, or praising her work in public and giving her the attention that she could use, is something that's really very important. वो शुरू से कहते हैं ना, औरत की दुश्मन होती है. We are raised like that. I really wanted to break that. It's not to say that I didn't face it. I faced a lot of women who wanted to be difficult, just like I faced a lot of men who wanted to be difficult. Like, how many men like a strong voiced woman who's not going to take no for an answer? It's tough. I really feel that we try to break that concept of, woman against woman, we'll end up doing a lot for each other.
You mentioned so many things, Shaili. It's interesting to now dwell upon the fact that even as you and I talk and speak about raising the bar or shatter glass ceilings, there is a gender divide in India. There is a gender pay divide in India, and the gap is phenomenal. I mean, why is a woman CEO paid lesser than a man? And this is something we need to dwell upon and to kind of change with your movement. You're reaching out to over 400 billion women. I mean, that's your reach. So the statistics show that even after COVID, there has been unemployment. Most of them don't have jobs.
Yeah.
Where does India go from here? कैसे बनेगा ये नया भारत? क्या वाकई नया भारत बनेगा?
आपने बहुत ही important सवाल रेज करा है, especially क्योंकि मैं ये कई बार पूछती हूँ that if India has to grow into whatever benchmarks it wants, all we need to do is treat its women better. इसे फिर से सुनिए. If we have to become a superpower, all we have to do is treat our women better. How difficult could this be? We are 50% of this population. We raise the other 50. And yet we are having to fight for the very most basic rights of what we can ask and what we can say.
Parliament is one, and I'd say this openly. which men or which boardroom of men is going to give us that right in parliament? I'd like to the viewers also to pontificate on this.
Yeah, no, 100%. I think in Parliament, actually, that's the one thing that brings all the women together across political parties. That if you do have reservation, that will make a start, right? We try to do something in corporate India by sort of talking about reservation on boards. I think all of these are a small start. What we need is that एक तरफ हमने बेटी बचाओ बेटी पढ़ाओ की बात करी है, पर मुझे लगता है ऐसे मूवमेंट्स ना हर लेवल पे होने चाहिए. बेटी को पढ़ाओ, उसको नौकरी के लिए एनकरेज करो, बेटी को पढ़ाओ, उसको एंटरप्रेन्योरशिप के लिए एनकरेज करो. हम इतनी नारी शक्ति की बात करते हैं, कभी कभी मुझे लगता है ये शक्ति ना ग्लोरीफाई करती है हमारे सैक्रिफाइसेस को, बिकॉज हम नारी शक्ति बोलते हैं लेकिन फिर भी हमारी जो परसेप्शन है नारी शक्ति की, वो औरत चूल्हा पे फूंक मार रही है, गैस के सामने खड़ी है, चपाती बना रही है. नारी शक्ति स्कूल गोइंग गर्ल के आगे क्या, स्कूल भेज के आपने अगर अपनी लड़की की शादी ही करानी है और उसको अपने पैर पे खड़े होने का कोई मौका नहीं देना है, तो ऐसी बेटी बचाओ बेटी पढ़ाओ का क्या फायदा हुआ, राइट? आई थिंक इट्स रियली इंपॉर्टेंट.
इसे एक मुहिम बनाना है. बिल्कुल what you're saying is absolutely correct. We have to go to the next level, क्योंकि हर घर में, और मैं ये बहुत बहुत विश्वास के साथ और आत्मविश्वास के साथ कह रही हूँ कि हर घर में एक अबला है और एक नारी है जो सशक्ति है. भारत के हर घर में वो नारी जरूर है जिसे हम देख नहीं पा रहे, जिसकी हम परवाह नहीं कर रहे. वो हर गली हर मोहल्ले में मिलती है. उस नारी के लिए किस तरह से आर्थिक उन्नति होगी,
नहीं, आर्थिक उन्नति सबसे इम्पोर्टेंट है. मैं तो कई बार कहती हूँ फेमिनिज्म अगर एक तरफ एक कॉइन का एक तरफ है तो दूसरी तरफ फाइनेंशियल फ्रीडम भी है. बिकॉज आई थिंक नथिंग गिव्स एनी ह्यूमन मोर पावर देन मनी to be able to make choices and say no to choices, right? हम अपनी जैसी कंट्री की बात करते हैं जहाँ पर 750 मिलियन औरतें हैं, and I believe बीच में हम लोग women have crossed the number of men in terms of population in our country, लेकिन फिर भी ना financial freedom है, lots of issues at home. I mean, think about again this sentence that money gives the women the option to walk out of an abusive marriage. ये कितनी अमेजिंग पॉसिबिलिटीज हैं जिसके बारे में हम सोचते नहीं है. हम हमारे आसपास, जैसे आपने कहा कि बहुत टाइप्स की औरतें हैं, बहुत टाइप की स्ट्रगल्स महसूस कर रही हैं नॉन स्टॉप, पर हम सोचते ही नहीं क्योंकि हमने इतना ग्लोरीफाई करा है कि स्ट्रगल तो औरतों का हिस्सा है. स्ट्रगल सिर्फ औरतों के हाथ ठीक हो, मतलब they have to suffer it. I mean, you look at the Didi who comes to your house, you look at the person who's selling vegetables on the street, you look at anywhere, there are so many families, you look at rich people's homes. Girls are told to continue to produce children till they produce a son. This is not a problem of rural India only, it's a very, very strong, rich urban India problem. Mothers are told to abort daughters. This is again upper caste, rich Indian problem. I'm saying we always are so used to saying ये सब उनके साथ होता है. किनके साथ? जो उधर है. कौन उधर है? ये सब हम सबके साथ हो रहा है, हमारी फैमिलीज में हो रहा है, हमारी सोसाइटीज में हो रहा है, लेकिन हम
नजरअंदाज करते हैं.
बिल्कुल, हम इसे इग्नोर करना चाहते हैं, राइट? इसलिए मैं सबको यही कहती हूँ कि स्पेशली टू विमेन कि आई रिकॉग्नाइज कि सबको काम करना पसंद नहीं, एंड टू एन एक्सटेंट फेमिनिज्म भी यही कहता है कि यू मेक योर ओन चॉइस. बट मैं एज शैली चोपड़ा यही कहूंगी, लाइफ में कुछ काम करना चाहिए जिससे आपके पास एक इनकम की सोर्स, कुछ भी काम हो, बड़ा छोटा, it doesn't matter, no matter what people say, because that source of income in your own bank account with your own ATM card and checkbook with your name and signature on it is your ticket to safety, your ticket to having a choice. ये बहुत जरूरी है लड़कियों को.
बिल्कुल. हम WoWExp की पूरी टीम की ओर से, नवीन मानसवी द फाउंडर, उनकी ओर से हर उस महिला को और हर उस बेटी को सलाम करते हैं और उम्मीद करते हैं कि उसका आने वाला कल रोशन हो. You've come up with this amazing new initiative, Dr. Didi and Gayatri, which deals with women and their health and gynecological issues, and maybe many more places where they can divide their attention from just talking to their mothers or grandmothers and reach out to people who could advise them in privacy. What is this?
Thank you for asking that. I think it's really important that women have access to better health. Yeah? इंडिया में unfortunately the truth is औरतों और लड़कियों की हेल्थ पे तब फोकस किया जाता है जब वो प्रेग्नेंट होती हैं. For us women are baby bearers. That's where the nutrition starts. That's where the nutrition continues. They're often told that that's really the most celebrated milestone of their life. I want to change that. I feel that young girls should have access to preventive health care. They should be able to talk to doctors from the time they are going to start menstruating all the way to the time that they're going to menopause, right? But as in India, because of cultural reasons, we have such stigma attached to all of this. I wanted to change that. And that's how Gayatri came around. Gayatri is gytree.com. And Dr. Didi is a very important chatbot that's part of Gayatri, which offers free service to women around the country. And it's in 4 languages. It's in Hindi, English, Bengali, and Tamil. And
you're getting multi-languages into this.
Yes, I'm getting a lot of other languages as well into it. But what's most important is that what does it offer? It offers you judgment-free, private information on what your body is, what gynecological issues women face, what sexual health issues women face. जो लड़कियों को अपने parents, doctors, aunts, दादियों से बात करने में झिझक होती है, यहाँ एक automated chatbot. यहाँ कोई इंसान नहीं है, आप उससे जो सवाल पूछोगे वो आपको डॉक्टर से वेरीफाइड इंफॉर्मेशन आपको देगा. ये कोई सर्च इंजन नहीं है. सो एक्चुअली एवरी पीस ऑफ इंफॉर्मेशन हैज बीन चेक्ड बाय अ डॉक्टर एंड इट सेज कि कौन से डॉक्टर ने ये इंफॉर्मेशन चेक करके आपको ऑफर करी है. सो इट्स वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट आई थिंक कि लड़कियों और औरतों को एक्सेस हो प्रिवेंटिव हेल्थ केयर की अपनी भाषा, क्योंकि हम सिर्फ इंग्लिश सोचते हैं, राइट? बट एक्चुअली इंग्लिश, हिंदी और बाकी लैंग्वेजेस में बहुत आसानी से उनको ये इन्फॉर्मेशन मिलेगी, क्योंकि हमारे पेरेंट्स, हमारी मदर इन लॉज, हमारी सिस्टर इन लॉज, फ्रेंड्स में ये बातचीत खुल के नहीं होती. सो इनफैक्ट गायत्री का हैशटैग है खुल के पूछो, राइट? ताकि कोई भी आपको डाउट ना हो अपनी वेलनेस का एंड यू कैन टेक गुड डिसीजंस. हम लोग टेलीविजन पे बड़े साल तक अपने बचपन में एड्स, एंटी एड्स कैंपेन देखते आए हैं, राइट? मुझे याद है वो एड्स की कैंपेन आते ही ना पेरेंट्स अपने बच्चों को कहीं पानी वानी लेने भेज देते थे या सैनिटरी नैपकिन की ऐड आती है तो लोग पेरेंट्स बोलते थे कि बच्चा कुछ लेके आओ हमारे लिए, आज का न्यूज़पेपर कहाँ है, जस्ट टू डिस्ट्रैक्ट. हमें इतनी शर्म है इन बातों से, राइट? पर सोचो कि अगर ये बातें खुल के होंगी तो लोग कितनी डिजीजेस अवॉइड कर सकते हैं. आज भी बच्चों को समझ नहीं आता है कि क्या डिजीजेस हैं. What are sexually transmitted diseases? What kind of cancers can women have? क्या 26 की उम्र से पहले सर्वाइकल कैंसर वैक्सीन लेना चाहिए? कितनी माओं को ये पता है? अपने बच्चों के लिए तो सोच सकते हैं ना वो. So I'm just saying, हमें मीजल्स के इंजेक्शन में घबराहट नहीं होती है, लेकिन हम जब भी विमेन्स इश्यूज की बात करते हैं हम एकदम सोचते नहीं ये हमारे को नहीं हो सकता, ये हम सबको हो रहे हैं. No, every 4 minutes a woman gets breast cancer. Stage 4 पे डिस्कवरी होती है. अगर हम उसका टेस्ट साल में एक बार कराएं above whatever ages, or in case somebody has breast cancer history, then they have to get it done even earlier, we will really be willing to get into a much better life, But हम कहते हैं कि नहीं है, औरतों की हेल्थ को किसने देखा है, किसी को क्यों चाहिए, हमें ये बदलना है. And that's why Gayatri and Dr. Didi have sort of come to exist, and I'm very excited about it because मुझे लगता है कि अगले 7-10 साल this will be the biggest focus for somebody like myself, and I hope for the country to empower women to take their health in charge.
Seriously, absolutely. तो ये है एक नई दुनिया, मेटावर्स की दुनिया जो WoWExp ने बनाई है, और इस दुनिया में हम आपको लेके चल रहे हैं. Shaili, you are now going to be the experience in the world of Metaverse, in India's first Metaverse, made by none other than WoWExp. My sincere thanks to the entire team of WoWExp for this wonderful experience. How do you like the vibrant colors? How do you see the people showing here? How do you like all of this, Shaili?
Thanks, Nidhi. I'm really excited to be part of this actually, and I like being part of Big First, so I'm excited. Yes, we were the first channel dedicated to women across Asia and have built ourselves into a mega network. And so thanks for bringing me for the first time for an interview into Metaverse. And I like the idea of my book lying on that table and see the people visible in many places. So super good on you for pulling me in.
And I can see this quote, Shaili, interestingly. Women just need a stage. They will get up there and stand. What did you mean when you wrote this? What did you
I,
mean?
I simply mean that, we don't give women a platform where they can go ahead and then speak their mind, talk about what their ambitions are, their goals are, their successes are, their struggles are. Which is why I say that problem is not that women don't or do want to. The problem is that we don't create a stage for them. Once you create it, they'll claim their space. As I also say that, there is this famous saying that if you can't get a seat at the table, create it. So, which is why I think I consider myself that person who said, if no one else is going to come up with a platform, I will. So other women can say this is our stage. And that was really my aim when we set up She the People, or when I took some of the lessons from She the People to launch Gayatri or write Sisterhood Economy. Women have been part of my journey and have enriched my understanding of other women and of India.
Absolutely. And can you tell me how millennials are going to take this emerging concept of metaverse? Can you, for example, see Gayatri or Dr. Didi here on these platforms? How would that perhaps, give you 30% more business if we talk about a business entrepreneurship platform? How would it impact the future entrepreneurs in times to come?
I think looking at this studio and the fact that we are having this conversation, I'm not just speaking here as somebody who's set up a platform as an entrepreneur, but I've been a business journalist for years. I can see the many possibilities, right? And I don't have to be the first person talking about it, because thousands others have recognized the possibilities of what can be done beyond our conversation in Metaverse, whether it's education, whether it's health, whether it's companies and their ability to have a large number of employees who are working from home, who are working from office, all joining up and meeting each other. I, for example, set up She the People as a complete work from home organization. So for me, I'm thinking if my next offsite will also have a little metaverse offsite, what are the possibilities, right? So I think there's a lot to learn here. And there's a great opportunity for many to come together to see what we can do with technology. Sometimes most rudimentary statements like these hit home, because we are now in a world where technology is inherent to us, where it's very much so a part of how we journey our existence. And therefore, I think Metaverse could be the next big exciting place where a lot is going on in the world of gaming. But could we make it more from entertainment to impact? I think that's something that I'd be curious about.
Yeah, we're there in all spaces, from whether it's the entertainment space, whether it's the malls, whether it is dancing, whether it is, any kind of books we're talking about, or even a digital library that we're talking about. Metaverse is transforming all these spaces, and WoWExp incidentally has made a whole city in Metaverse, and where you can be a part of that city and do several conferences sitting there, and speak to somebody, say in Dubai or in Siliguri or in any other place in India, in the same setup where both of us are talking. So it is in fact the future, and we hope a lot of people will be a part of this great experience, and we hope that children and the youth will adapt to it more than anyone else. On that note, I'd like to ask you about your book, Shaili. I can see it on the table, Sisterhood Economy. Please tell us more. I see you looking at that very intently.
Yes, I love the fact that my book is lying on top of the table, and this is the meta table, shall we call it? But Sisterhood Economy has actually got a very interesting chapter focused on technology and how technology can help women in a big way, which to me is the genesis of my own existence in the avatar of She the People. When I launched the platform, it was digital first. It remains so. It helped women join the organization from across the country, because we said we don't need physical spaces, we need virtual spaces to work in. It brings a lot of agency for women who can then just sort of talk about how they work from home. They join a community, they have conversations like the one you and I are having. All of these are very, very important to me. I believe that when women have difficulties in their environment, particularly one, let's say, when they're physically bound to home or within the four walls, because let's say somebody in the house doesn't give them permission to step out, digital can give them that journey outside of their limitations. And that's how the idea of sisterhood also came about. What do we talk to women beyond the housework that they do? How do we bring them into the economy as economic constituents? Why independence and intimacy are so important to women's ability to contribute to the GDP? How can single women continue to rock it and not perhaps be called the board or the burden of society? How can we break down this idea of the bechari, bitch, and badass when it comes to women in pop culture, television, Bollywood? All of this is what power packs a fun and fearless take on how women will contribute much more to the Indian economy. And that's the most exciting part for me in the book Sisterhood Economy, which has had endorsements from Masaba Gupta, my ex-colleague Faye, from Vivek Detroy, the economist, from Priyanka Chaturvedi, the politician, and of course Falguni Nair of Naika. The cross-section of voices tell you that men, economy, women, trans people, as well as how we measure the idea of what is economic success, is all power packed in here. What also makes this book very unique is that it has 500 plus interviews of women, which are just amazing stories. You know, a woman tells me about how she's now doing her second PhD. She would have ideally not studied after bachelor's and could have worked, but she's studying because she thinks that will help her push marriage with her parents. I mean, just amazing to think somebody's opting for education because you know what, it'll push her marriage deadline. Similar stories of women who say that they are just tired of being, people who are constantly seen as walking wombs. When will people look at them as individuals who have desires, who have goals, ambitions? I just want to read a book and have coffee alone, without the judgment of people saying, "Arey, ye akeli baithi coffee kyun pee rahi hai? Hi, bechari." You know, we've got to break those tropes around women, and Sisterhood Economy does a great job of bringing those aspects in and giving them an economic lens. Why all of these taunts have an economic price?
Absolutely. And one more thing that you've done, and I'd like to dwell upon that, is that you have brought things like menstrual hygiene and say no to period shame out in the open, Shaili. Because अगर आप एक सैनिटरी नैपकिन भी खरीदते हो केमिस्ट से तो आप उसको न्यूज़पेपर में जरूर ढकते हो. क्यों ढकते हो? Why are you not proud to just carry it off? You know, what are your thoughts on such like things?
So, you know, one of the biggest chapters in my book is on health, and it's called A Healthy Girl. And it reflects on many of the issues that you talked about, because whether it's from menstruation to menopause, we are constantly making women feel that they're some sort of a burden because they have all of these things to go through. We never ask men of this. Unfortunately, women and many other minority genders face similar problems, and we are not able to come to terms with the fact that these are normal issues. Right? It is so important to bring this in the open. Halanki, we have to take it outside of just our studios and much more deeper into the country, because it seems to us that we're talking in some of the urban cities as television campaigns, as Metaverse campaigns, and that's enough. It's not enough. It's just the starting point. And I think that is really part of the reason why far more conversation needs to happen on issues like periods and sexuality and sex and reproductive rights, because we have a lot of stigma and taboo around these. You go 20 kilometers, maybe even 15 outside of Gurgaon or Delhi, and you will see villages after villages where women have got their gunga down to their knees, right? Because it will be disrespectful for them to show their faces. Is this why women were born? So that somebody could determine what sex their child should have, whether or not they should have 5 or 10 babies, or whether or not they should be able to show their face, or they should be criticized and be asked to sit in and sleep in another room because they have periods. I mean, how can everybody else have a say on our bodies except ourselves? Is this why we came into existence? You know, Hillary Clinton said this, and I will say this again. Women's rights are human rights. Listen to it again. Women's rights are human rights. Do not tell us what we need to do.
Absolutely, Shaili. And we do hope, to have more such conversations with you in future. जैसे आपने कहा, ऐसे ही बनेगा एक आत्मनिर्भर भारत. एक औरत से एक आत्मनिर्भर भारत. आवश्यकता इसी की है कि हम इसी नजरिए से सोचें और अपना नजरिया बदलना शुरू करें. इस पुरुष प्रधान समाज से मैं विनती करती हूँ कि वो अपना नजरिया बदले. And on a lighter note, Shaili, tell me, would you like to have your next book launch here with us?
I'm still launching my book, by the way, across cities.
Yes.
You're welcome to have me do my first book launch in the Metaverse then. Sisterhood Economy is barely 30 days old and we've just done 2 cities and I'm on a tour called the Sisterhood Economy Tour across the country. Why not in the Metaverse, Nidhi?
Yes.
And the gang at this company, I am at your invite. So tell me, when shall I take you up?
Yes, absolutely. As soon as the next book comes out, this is already done. The next launch we'll have here on WoWExp. And with that, let's get back to the real. So, how did you like the experience in Metaverse?
Actually, it was fascinating for me. I haven't done this. I had heard of it. I've seen lots of videos trying to crack what this is, but it was great to get the experience, and it was very exciting to have my book in Metaverse. I think that was really something that was a first for me in that sense. But yeah, I think my own son told me, "Mama, this is the future," and here you are, and I've already done my first interview in this, so. I think I have bragging rights to say that I actually went into Metaverse to do this interview. I'm also excited to see the possibilities. Right? अभी आपने मुझसे कई सवाल पूछे on Gayatri and Dr. Nidhi. To me, this has got innumerable possibilities for women in healthcare, for conversations in healthcare, but most important, even in terms of just the caregiver and the care seeker talking about these things. So, Nidhi, आपने मुझे बहुत ideas दिए हैं, and being on the Metaverse, platform with you all has also given me some insight into how technology is just here to stay in the way digital is. And again, like I said at the start of the interview, you're making my decision to move from broadcast to digital so early in my career totally worth it, right? Because I am all for experimentation. And I like making the switch on time, so here I am.
Lovely. One last question. How do you see She the People? It's been 7.5+ years in the future. What are your plans? What are the possibilities that you're looking at?
I'm going to answer this question in numbers. We are currently available as She the People in 5 languages. By March 2023, we'll be 10 languages. We'll be going from being a platform to a network. That for me is a very big thing. We're already Asia's largest platform by numbers, but I hope we will be even larger, having the largest possibility of multilingual, women-focused content in the world. I also feel that we have a large following. Close to 6 million women follow us. I want these numbers to go up to close to 20 million over the next few years. And why I say that is because I feel I started this first as a platform, then it became a channel, but now to me this is going to be a movement. And it is really important that we have women come together and join this movement, Apni Awaaz. And so I would like to tell all women through your program that She the People has opened its platform for you to set up your own community, set up your own blog, and participate in a way that you have one platform where all your work is visible. So here's an opportunity to tell your own stories in the way you want to, rather than come to us and say, "आप हमारी कहानी बताओ, ये रहा platform, आप अपनी कहानी बताइए और हमारी audience को पूरी तरीके से reach करें." So that I think is a really important pivot that we've taken in the last few months, and we expect that to be the one taking us forward.
And this pivot from a desktop to Metaverse is the one we are taking, and on behalf of Naveen Manasvi, the founder of WoWExp, and the entire team of WoWExp, I'd like to thank you for your insights and sharing your valuable time with us, and I wish you all success in your future endeavors. और मैं ये भी कहना चाहूँगी चलते चलते कि आप जरूर हमारे साथ कई और प्रोग्राम्स में जुड़िए. We are delighted to speak to you anytime, and even for your book launches, we'll always be there for you. और यहीं पे मैं आप सभी से निवेदन करती हूँ कि From the Real to the Virtual जरूर देखें. We are going to get many more eminent personalities on this show to talk to you, and WoWExp की पूरी टीम की ओर से आप सभी का धन्यवाद देती हूँ, सभी को शुभकामनाएं देती हूँ, और हर उस लड़की को, उस महिला को, उस बेटी को भारत की मैं सलाम करती हूँ, और हम ये उम्मीद करते हैं कि उसका आने वाला कल महफूज हो और रोशन हो. Thank you for watching. Namaskar.